What do you think is the biggest innovation in paintball history?
That's a really good question.
Wow. The biggest innovation in paintball.
Innovation in the sense of like what my favorite is or what actually changed the sport the most?
Open-ended question.
Open-ended question.
You can take it either way or both ways.
Kinky.
Well, you know, there's multiple phases there. I mean, yeah, you're looking for safety, you're looking for performance in the paintball industry.
Probably paintball itself.
It's going to sound really corny, but actually one of my personal favorite things ever is probably the paintball caddy, the $20 paintball caddy.
Chronograph, better goggles. I think that's all helped, you know, make paintball safe and grow.
I'm just gonna go and say full face protection and ear protection, because when I started playing, that's all we had, and it hurt when you get shot in the ear, the nose, or even opening your mouth and getting one right in there.
My opinion would be the 6-pack, because back in the day, tournaments were only allowing 12 grams. By the time this thing came around, point was pretty much obsolete. They went to constant air, and that pretty much brought the whole new era of paintball playing.
I'd actually have to say constant air, can argue. It's like, you're wrong.
So it's a toss-up between constant air and vertical feed.
You know, I can name 3 real quick. You know, from pump to semi was a huge increase. You know, from 12 grams to cartridges to actual CO2 tanks, and then from CO2 to high pressure air. That was the next progression.
Probably what changed the sport the most was when Tom Kay brought high pressure to our sport. And that was probably the biggest innovation.
All right, but this paved the way for your fancy air tank there.
It's true,
right?
it's true, but
you know what? Hey, Tom Kay, I think we can agree on that one, right?
I think that's a valid point.
Tom Kay, HPA, all the way.
I'm going to have to go with Dan Colby, as he's making the compressed air and moving us forward into better markers.
So everything I do, I believe that anything I've done in the industry has set precedents for everybody else to follow.
Compressed air.
Compressed air. Yeah, HPA, definitely. It's really made everyone's job a lot easier to fill, more consistent.
It was a big, huge controversy. Everyone was concerned about the high pressure.
Going from CO2 to HPA is a whole world of difference in accuracy and usage.
Since the advent of high pressure air, most weapons have shot more consistently. You don't have the spike.
Prior to that was probably semi-automatic rifles. And prior to that was probably when we went from 12-gram cartridges to 9-ounce tanks. Yeah, so there would be 3 turning points, I think.
Having said that, there's a lot of innovations in paintball that changed everything, you know? The pump changed everything.
That would have to be direct feed. Because without direct feed, constant air wouldn't have been an issue, rate of fire wouldn't be an issue, you know, wouldn't need an electric trigger if you got no feed system.
The same thing goes with the feed question, is that it went from being a very slow-paced, hide in the woods, 10 shots and you're pretty good for an hour, to you're shooting 200 rounds in less than, what do you get, 30 rounds a second? You shoot 200 rounds in like, what, 4 or 5 seconds now?
And then you can say, you know, the first strike rounds are cool.
For me right now, I am sincerely impressed with the first strike rounds and what Tiberius has done with their new models.
But the biggest to me, I think, was low pressure guns. You can run more efficient guns, longer, more accurate, and much lighter. I mean, I don't know how much better the sport's going to get after that.
There's a lot of good inventions. You know, you can say, you know, electronic guns are good inventions, but then again, people are, you know, shooting 13 balls per second, and, you know, it kind of becomes a little bit hard.
Probably say overall electronics, because there's so much you can do with them.
When the lower priced electros started coming out, and there's an upside and downside to it.
One of my favorites is called Billy Ball from Smart Parts. I know you love Smart Parts. And it shot 1 ball every 2 seconds, but you could limit it. But with everyone on the same playing field, the same setup, it was some of the most fun I've ever had in playing paintball, ever.
People could come in their first time and at least feel like they were part of it instead of just target cannon fodder.
There's tons of other innovations that are much better. Obviously, the masks for safety are so much better than they were many years ago, but the caddy, in my opinion, for 20 bucks is just one of the best inventions for paintball.
The Bob Guernsey Scholarship, it might not be exactly for paintball, but as far as like paintball in a environment of like the community,
that's a biggie to me, because it's like we're getting further than just shooting paint out of the end of my gun here. It's something that means a little bit more for somebody's education and for the future. So I guess really like an innovation is that if we could start stepping out of our own little world here and looking at it as a broad thing.
As long as it continues an upward trend, then I'll be happy.